hello everyone. In today's era, everyone is worried about their health, right? All of them have some health problems, especially working professionals, because they have been concentrating a lot on work and other aspects. But the most important part in everyone's life is their health. This podcast is related to health and how one can take care of their physical and mental health. So I have invited Adarsh. I met him in where I was working in my previous company. Adarsh is a senior coach at That Lifestyle Coach. Today we are going to have a very interesting podcast. Thanks a lot, Adarsh, for coming here. If you can give a quick introduction to our audience about yourself, it would be helpful.
Thanks, Manoj, for inviting me. My name is Adarsh. I've been a coach for the last 13 years. I started out as a MMA coach, and over the years, I'm also done other certifications so that I have more tools in my belt to help as many people as I can. I'm a certified nutrition coach. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I also teach meditation and I also do therapeutic massages. So that's my background.
Got it.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Adarsh. I think I have compiled a list of common questions that students, early working professionals have. So I'll ask them one by one. So the first question is, when we come to health, right, there are two parts. One is a physical health and mental health, and no one takes care a lot about mental health, right? So the first question is, what is the difference between physical and mental health?
For me, I think if you talk about physical health, I would say few things are ways in which you can measure it. Or let's say few things are your strength. That's your ability to, let's say, lift, move around yourself, your body weight included. Your flexibility, whether you can reach down, how easily you can sit and get up off the floor. Just doing daily activities, how you feel in your body, right? Whether you feel free and relaxed or do you feel like stiff and constricted, right? I'd say the other thing would be your quality of breathing. That really says a lot about your physical health. If you're struggling to breathe and your quality of breathing is very shallow or you have issues, then that also is a way to measure your physical health. And the last one, I would say definitely sleep. How well you sleep, how easily you can sleep, how rested you feel after you sleep is a huge sign of your physical health. If we talk about mental health, I think few things that really matter are the quality of your thoughts, how you think, right? It's not that you can exactly control every thought that comes in and out of your mind. The mind is like that. But at least being able to have a certain sense of perspective on whatever you're thinking and your feelings, what you're feeling emotionally, how you deal with your emotions, whether you have a habit of, let's say, running away from them or trying to suppress them, or do you have a capacity for being totally present with whatever you're feeling and just sitting with it, being able to see how do I feel, why do I feel like this, the ability to reflect upon yourself and whatever you're going through at that moment of time, and I think a capacity to also be comfortable with feelings of negativity, feelings of struggle. That's a huge sign of mental health. I think your ability to deal with negative emotions, your ability to just sit with it is a huge sign of mental health.
I think the next common question that people have is, are both physical and mental health connected to each other, right? And can there be someone who is like physically fit, he's a bodybuilder, but he's not mentally strong, or he or she is mentally weak, right? Can such type of things happen too?
Sure, I would definitely say, at least in my experience, physical and mental health are very much interconnected. One affects the other. It's not that every person with a six pack or who looks great in a photo shoot is mentally healthy. Sometimes your mental health, and it's not that, let's say you have no physical activity going on, you cannot be mentally healthy. They
Hmm.
they go with each other. There is a few things that you do for maintaining your physical health. Movement is a key. The body is filled with nerves and your brain is connected to the more movement that you have, good quality movement you have, you will see that you can think of the body as a container for the mind.
Hmm.
So If your body is in a good state, you have good nutrition, you have good sleep, you have good movement, you have good social interactions, then you will see that the mind that is contained within that body will also be reflecting those things.
Correct.
Whereas, let's say if you only focus on the physicality, right, on looking a certain way, but you ignore your feelings, very much possible that you can be looking great, right, from everyone else's point of view, but maybe on the inside you are lacking the kind of presence and and a kind of awareness of yourself where you don't feel that great, but you look good.
Hmm.
It's quite very much possible.
Got
That's because of the disconnect between physical and the mental. There's a way to bring them together.
it.
Certain practices, like let's say a genuine yoga practice, right? Where the body and the mind are coming together, where you're paying full attention to what you're doing. And it's more about your experience of what you're doing than what you're doing itself. Then in that case, they're tied together. That's why a lot of people who practice yoga in the beginning experience that they feel a lot better. You're not too focused on how much weight they're losing, what their number on the scale is, etc. You will see that they have better energy, they're more calm, they're able to deal with negative or challenging situations better. I would say there sometimes you can be obsessed with the body and forget the deeper aspects of being, and in that case you can be totally disconnected. But if you do take them both into account and work on things where you can integrate body and mind, then you start moving towards, let's say, a more holistic way to deal with your health.
Got it. I think the next common thing is like there's certification for everything, right? Whatever you study. But let's say when can someone say that okay, I'm healthy? Or how can anyone who's watching this podcast can understand can self know that personally check if they're healthy or not? Is there any measures like for physical health? I know a couple of them, but how can one say that they are physically healthy and also let's say mentally healthy? Are there any tests that they can self take online, or are there any measurements, etc.?
For physical health, there's a lot of like you can get some blood tests. That's the most basic way. Check your hormonal levels, check your vitamin, mineral levels, and just check. That's a test, right? That you can do. You can get it at home. They'll give you a summary, and it'll give you certain numbers and saying you're beyond the threshold or you're within the threshold. That can be physical. Another way, without any testing, I think how you feel in your body is a huge sign of your health. If you have low energy, if you have not great focus, if you're feeling stiff and tight all the time, then that's a sign that your health is not doing so well. That you should
Hmm.
actually pay more attention to taking care of your body, right? Because the body
Yeah.
has its own language and it speaks to us in sensations. The better you can become at being present and aware of your body and trying to just sit and feel and actually just be honest with yourself about how you're feeling, that's a huge sign of health. If
Got it.
you feel at ease, if you feel relaxed, if you have energy to do the things or go about your day without feeling tired often, then it means you're healthy. If you can walk, if you can breathe, and you're breathing is super important. If
Hmm.
you can breathe nice and long and deep, and you can stay focused on the breath for however long you choose, at least a certain amount of time, then it means that your body is in a good state. Mentally, I would say it's hard to define mental health, quite honestly. But I think if, at least from my experience, I would say I think being balanced is a good way to measure or like how you deal with, let's say, a negative situation and a positive situation, right? And
Hmm.
how soon you can bring yourself back to that equilibrium internally is a sign
Correct.
that you're of your health. If you, not to say that there is good and bad mental health, it's a spectrum, and we are all going through that spectrum constantly, right? Even me, I have some days where I'm not doing so great mentally, some days I'm not doing so great physically, I think mainly for mental health, I would say finding and using any tools that kind of help you come back to an equilibrium, right?
Correct.
Being able to have people that you can share what you're feeling with, people who can give you an outsider's perspective and help you see things differently, and how soon you can, even if you have a negative experience, right? How long you stay in that place of the negative emotions that you're experiencing, not trying to fight it, but being able to accept, go through
Yeah.
that entire process, and then come back to a state of I went through that and now I can move
Sure.
forward, right? I think that's a great sign of someone who's mentally healthy.
Understood. I think even I've seen people who are like excited, a lot of excited. Similarly, when they face a negative situation, they are sad a lot. They're not able to come out both the states. They're stuck in that either high positive state or high negative state.
High negative.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it's like I'm open and I welcome any experience that life gives me. And I have the confidence and the faith in myself that I can handle whatever situations I come across.
Got it. I think next question is like about weight loss, right? That's a big problem. But before we jump into that, people need to understand how does the human body work in general from the weight perspective, right? How does one gain or lose weight, the calorie system and all. And we understand how the mechanism of human body works in terms of calories. How does weight increase and how does weight decrease?
I think the most simplest way, and this is the way that every coach or nutritionist gets taught, right? We all have like a scale. We have calories in and we have calories out. Whenever the calories you consume is more than what you're spending, you will gain weight. Whenever the
Okay.
calories that you're consuming is less than, let's say you spend more than you consume,
Hmm.
then you will be in a deficit, caloric deficit, and you will lose weight. It's just about this balance. It's not that we're a heat engine and it's all about the calories. Now, yes, this is the mechanism of weight gain and weight loss, but doesn't mean that's the only thing that's happening in the body. There's a lot of hormonal factors, there's genetic factors, there's other factors like lifestyle, etc. All of these things affect weight. And the idea is that you generally try to consume, it's not just the amount of calories but also the quality of the calories. For example, if you take a bottle of Coke, I think it has even a tiny bottle has like thousands of calories. I don't exactly know the exact number, but it's like in that tiny bottle and it has a ton of sugar and it has flavorings
Hmm.
and it has a ton of other substances. The quality of those calories are total, it's nothing. It's like poor, very, very
Unhealthy.
poor quality calories. On the other hand, if you had a meal cooked at home with different vegetables, some meat, right? You can consume 1,000 calories, but the 1,000 calories you consumed compared to the Coke that you had is way higher quality. So these two, the same 1,000 calories, whether it is from actual food or it's from artificial food, has a huge effect on your body. The more highly processed a certain thing is, the poorer the quality of the nutrition and the calories that you get from it. The less processed and more fresh those ingredients are, the better your body responds to it, the better it accumulates or processes those calories and the nutritions in that food, and the better it will affect you hormonally, chemically, etc. on the inside. Yes, weight loss is about calories in versus calories out. For example, if you fast for 2 days and drink only
Hmm.
water, you will lose weight because there is nothing coming in. Your body is still spending calories, right? Same way, if you eat a lot for 2 days, you will gain weight. Like the baseline is calories in versus calories out, but it's not just about the calories as well. It's the quality of the calories that also matter.
Got it. I think from this, there's also one more myth, right? Many people think if it's a small thing, for example, if a gulab jamun is just 100 grams, it cannot have more than 100 calories. But that's wrong, right? It doesn't
Not
depend on the
necessarily, not
quantity
necessarily.
of things.
Yeah. No, I mean, it depends from food to food. There's something called caloric density. So each food has a certain calorie density. For example, an egg is calorie dense. It has protein, it has fat. Generally, these have more density, which means even like a little bit of it, like this much butter, has a lot of calories, right? It's not about the amount of butter that you're eating, but like even little bit of it will have a lot of, it will make you feel more full, technically. Whereas there are some things with empty calories. So some foods will have, like chips, for example, potato chips. It's like you can eat like a whole bag of chips, but you'll never feel full because it doesn't have the density that is needed of the calories. I might be like mistaken about this, but in a way, it's like whatever you're eating, right? What has been put into it, the ingredients that went into it, and the quality of the ingredients will determine how much energy you can get out of it. It always matters where the food is coming from, how it's prepared, and what went into it, and that's what will determine how much energy is it's going to give you, if that makes any sense.
Cool. I think the next question I had is, so this is very important, right? So many people are obese, but they don't know. They would not know it, right? So how can assess someone as a working professional? Are they really obese or are they overweight? How can they assess that?
I think the most standard way is to basically check your BMI. You can, there's a standard average weight to height scale, and like usually a BMI of more than 25 is what you would call obese. And a BMI anything, I think there's like an ideal kind, not ideal, but like an average BMI of say 20, 18 to 20 is very healthy. Even up to 24 is okay for men. It's not like great. And for women, it's around, it's like 15 to 18 or something like. There's different
Got
scales for this. I may be getting the numbers wrong, but BMI is a very good way to know if you're overweight. Second thing is just your effort in moving. I think that's a very good way to know if you're overweight. If your body is feeling heavy, even while you're doing like basic things, you have a lot of weight. You're carrying around more than you need to, essentially. That's a very good way to know. If you want to measure it, BMI would be a good way. Measure your weight, check it, put it against, you can find things on the internet, calculators on the internet. You can put in your height and your weight, and you will find your BMI, basically.
it. The next thing is weight loss is very common problem, right? And everyone knows they have to go to gym, do physical activity and all. That's very, I mean, very blank thing, not so specific, right? So what are some specific strategies that working professionals can adopt so that they can do weight loss? Here, the constraint for most of them is okay, don't have a lot of time, or let's say many of them are away from their home, and the quality of food might not be the best, right? What are some key things that, let's say, top three things that any working professional should adopt so that they can lose weight?
I'd say the first one is just be more physically active. And when I say active, I don't mean go to the gym. Making better choices for physical activity. For example, if you have a choice between the lift and the stairs, take the stairs. If you have a
Hmm.
choice between a short walk and maybe a cab, take the short walk. Try to keep moving through the day. It doesn't have to be intensive movement. Walking is really good. You can walk as much as possible, and generally, basically increasing that calories out, right? That's one way. Second is to get more protein in your own diet. Let's say you're dividing your plate like say some of it is carbohydrate, some of it is protein, some of it is fat. What you want to do is increase the amount of protein, reduce the amount of carbs on a general note, and you can eat a certain amount of fats. But basically, increase protein. Protein makes you feel full for longer. It's calorie dense, and your body needs, it will process that protein to produces more heat. And so that's another way. The third I would say is moderate strength training at least few times a week. You don't have to use weights, you can use body weight, just do resistance training. Resistance training is what I mean. Resistance training, which means you either using your body weight or like an external weight like the dumbbells over there, but you're pushing it or pulling it, or you're doing specific movements with it that involve more than one muscle group. Something like that will definitely, strength training especially will definitely help you lose weight. That's kind of the best way actually. Most people make the mistake of thinking that if I just do running every day, I will lose weight, or I do jogging, I will lose weight. Those are all cardiovascular endurance exercises. The purpose of that is not to lose weight. The purpose of
Hmm.
that is to improve the capacity of your heart to perform a certain activity. If your goal is to increase your performance to be able to do things for longer than cardiovascular training like jogging, cycling, etc., etc., you might lose weight when you do these things. I'm not saying that you will not, but it will only happen for so long, and then after that it will stop. You will not lose any more
Yeah.
weight after that. A better way is to do resistance training 2 times a week, increase the level of activity, increase protein, and I think you asked for three. I'll give you one more.
Hmm.
Try to cut down on processed foods. I think
Yeah.
that's super important for me to say, because most of the times the main issue is that you quality of what you're consuming is really bad, and the more processed foods you consume, the worse your weight is going to get.
Hmm.
So it's about cutting down on processed foods, being more active, getting more protein, and doing resistance training. I would say these four things are like basic guidelines for starting to lose more weight.
Got it. Perfect. I think you talked about protein, right? So one quick thing, like general doubt is, I'm X kgs of weight. Let's say someone is 50, or someone's weight is, let's say, 50 kilo. How much protein should they consume? Is there any ballpark on that? Let's say it's 15 to 2 or something like that. Is there any ballpark on that? And second is, what are some high protein food that comes top of your mind? Veg and non-veg options.
I think the general measure is about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight is kind of like what you should be consuming. But this is again, it really varies from person to person. So if I'm 80 kg, then I should be consuming at least 70 something grams of protein a day. This will also vary according to your training. If you
Oh.
are if you're training hard, then you might need more. I might need like more than 100. If I'm training intensely for 3 to 4 hours a day, then I need more. I would suggest is to find that out. Better to talk to, let's say, a nutritionist who can take your lifestyle, your activity levels, and your workout, everything into consider, and your age, everything into consideration, and actually give you like a guideline as to how much to consume. In terms of good protein options, I think non-vegetarian, I think the most easiest ones would be eggs, any kind of meat you can consume that's got quite a decent amount of protein. For vegetarians, I think the biggest choice would be paneer, tofu maybe, and obviously some form of like legumes, beans, things like this. But please do remember that beans, only a part of the bean is protein. For example, if you eat chicken, right, chicken will only have protein fat. It will not have,
Correct.
it will have some fiber, but like that's the main component. Whereas if you eat, let's say, 100 grams of beans, whatever beans, let's take one example of some bean that you're eating. Probably about 20 to 25% of that is going to be protein. A lot of it's going to be fiber and carbohydrate, starch,
Hmm.
and some of it's going to be fat. That's the challenge with being vegetarian, is that there is no only protein food. Another good option for vegetarians is just consuming, like getting some kind of vegan or vegetarian protein. Protein, protein mixes,
Powder.
protein powders are good. Make sure you get it from a good source, because there's a lot of companies that use a lot of additives. Food is very complex. And so when it comes to dietary choices, you need help. You need guidance. You need like someone to at least give you some basic guidelines, and you need to do your research. You need to be a scientist. You need to experiment, because everyone's body reacts differently to different things. Maybe you're saying, "Okay, I will eat this for protein," but maybe that protein doesn't sit with your body. You know it doesn't react well. So you'll have to find an alternative, right? To find that out, you have to actually do an experiment and say, okay, I'm going to try and do this for this week. I'm going to consume this, and I will make sure to note down what happens, how I feel. If it's working, if my body is accepting it and I feel good, great. If not, okay, I need to find an alternative.
I think it's more personalized also. Like health is a very complex topic. And the next question is, so for health, right, there are three factors. So one is the food and the physical activity, and the most important thing is mind and sleep, right? When it comes to sleep, there are a lot of opinions, right? Parents say, "Are sleeping late, you'll have a lot of problems." Some people say you need to sleep for X hours a day, 5 hours. Some say 8 hours, etc. Right? First common question is sleeping late and getting up. So when somebody sleeps late, obviously that person would get up late, right? So is sleeping late and getting up late really a problem? And how much hours should, let's say, someone between the age of 20 to 40, 20 to 30 should sleep for to have a healthy lifestyle? Yeah.
Sleeping late a bad thing? Now, how you like it's all perspective, right? If my job depends on me being awake late, then for my survival, I need to sleep late. That way, it's not a bad thing. But if you talk in terms of only biology, we are attuned to the rhythms and cycles of nature. Our bodies are like we're designed to work in sync with nature, and like sunlight plays a huge role in this. I forgot to talk about sunlight for health. Even for sleep, for mental health, for physical health, all of these things, sunlight is key. Getting enough sunlight is super important. One downfall of sleeping late and waking up late is you miss crucial sunlight. Because all of us are usually indoors now, we don't work in the fields, we're sitting in ACs, and like we're always exposed to blue light and all these artificial lights all the time. So that can really hinder your sleep, especially from our phones, our laptops, etc. etc. As far as sleep goes, the best thing you can do for sleep is to get sunlight. Get sunlight in the morning and get a little bit of sunlight in the evening. The best sunlight you can get is between 6 and 8. And
Hmm.
our parents used to tell us this all the time. My mom and dad, you should wake up and get sunlight in the morning. Like, that is good for you. They are not kidding. It's actually true. That's really important. I think that's the advantage of waking up with the sun and sleeping with the sun. What that does is it sets your circadian rhythms. Your circadian rhythm basically is like your compass rhythm for all other rhythms in your body, all other cycles. So if you can set that one particular rhythm, most other things will start to synchronize with that, and it will regulate everything else. If that one rhythm is off, everything else starts to fall off. I've experienced this myself. I've seen this in my clients. I've seen this with friends. Minimum amount of sleep, I'd say 8 hours. I don't
Okay.
believe people who say I can survive on sleep for 5 hours. Maybe they can, but I'm sure they're suffering in other ways. Their body is suffering. Maybe they're just not aware of it. Like with sleep deprivation, you basically have the same thing as you drink alcohol. Do you know that?
No.
You're basically drunk when you don't have enough sleep.
Oh, got it.
You're pretty much the same state as being drunk when you don't have enough sleep. I've experienced this. That's exactly how it feels. Getting enough sleep, I can't emphasize this enough. And another thing, if you want good quality sleep, you need melatonin. Melatonin is only produced in complete darkness. Complete darkness. I'm talking about pitch black dark. Most of us don't get that nowadays because there's always some light around. Invest in having a space where there's complete darkness. Second, turn off your devices an hour before you go to sleep. Not looking at the phone and falling asleep when it falls on your face, or passing out after watching an hour of Netflix. That's definitely not good for you. It's never going to be good for you. I know it's a struggle. We all want to relax after a hard day's work, and we all have our reasons and our addictions and our afflictions. But at least try. A good habit to develop for sleep cycles is start reading a book before you fall asleep
Hmm.
instead of looking at your phone. Or write something. Journal. Do some journaling. Meditation is hard. Not everyone can meditate, so forget it. But do something physical and get non-LED orange lights for the night. Non-LED.
Got it.
LEDs always are actually flickering. They have a certain frequency. What you need is the best would be candlelight, quite romantic. Light candles or diyas in the night, in the evenings. That's a very good. That light will naturally put you into a state of rest, and you will feel sleepy. If you can't do that, get dim orange lights, yellow
Hmm.
lights. In the night, evening time, only have orange lights, yellow lights. Do not have white lights around you. White lights disrupt your brain, and it actually fools your brain into thinking, oh, I need to be active now. I need to be active now. And you actually don't need to be. That's also another reason the blue light from your screens keeps you awake, because it's
Yeah.
tricking your brain into thinking it's actual daylight when it's not. I'd say 8 hours is like a minimum. If you can't do 8 hours, get close to 8 hours.
I think the next common problem that people have that affects mental health is stress, tension, anger, right? So, how can one reduce stress or even anxiety? So these are different negative emotions, right, that come in. If they are at that state, how can they come back to equilibrium? We already talked about that. But how can one return to that quicker, faster? Because if you stay at that state for a longer time, it's dangerous for you.
Right. I think one thing has been made clear. There's two kinds of stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress. Certain kinds of stress are good for your body. For example, going out for a hike. It's stressful. It's not easy, but it's good stress. It's going to make your body adapt to that stress in a way that you get more energy, more health, more strong, more vital energy, etc. Bad stress is stress that deteriorates your health. That is bad stress. Chronic stress is really bad. There's stress, and it's like one is real stress, where your environment is actually giving you stress. The other is imagined stress, where your mind has perceived something as a threat and it is in stress. It's in fight or flight mode. Okay. Fight or flight mode is useful when you actually need to fight or run. If you're doing neither, or you whatever, like you're in actual danger. If you are not in actual danger, it's only your perception that is telling you that something is bad, then you need to get out of it, right? How do you get out of it? The fastest way is to return to your breathing. It's just whatever you're feeling, it's totally fine. This breathing is really, really useful. Inhale, exhale with your mouth. Do this a few times. You will start to feel that level of anxiety or the stress come down. But learning how to come back, focusing on your breath, is the easiest way to regulate yourself out of whatever you're going through. Another way is to practice things like yoga, where you connect deeply with your breathing and you develop an awareness for when you're stressed. You can feel it. Your heart is pumping, you're sweating. You can sense it, you can feel it. When you're doing that, step away from whatever it is that is causing you that stress, first of all. If it's your boss, tell your boss, I just need a quick breather. Take a break, step away. Or if it's your
Hmm.
teammates, or if it's your work, whatever it is, take a quick breather. Step away, go somewhere, find some quiet space, or put on headphones, whatever, and spend like few minutes to just breathe. Just breathe. Doesn't have to be a particular way of breathing. You can just breathe.
Got it.
Just bring your attention to your breath. Wherever your mind drifts, it's fine. Just come back to your breathing.
Hmm.
This is like what's worked for me, honestly. Works for a lot of other people as well. This is a good
Yeah.
strategy to try. Sometimes whatever these feelings are, they're inside of you and they're in your head. It's good sometimes to just put it on a piece of
Spill.
paper or talk to someone. Talking to someone is sometimes doesn't help. Better to just
Write it
journal.
down a bit.
You
Hmm.
can journal, do breath work, do yoga, do meditation. I think these are like great tools for you to deal with to improve your mental health.
I think the last question is what are some of the few good habits that people can develop to improve their physical and mental health, right? You can say about top 5 habits, because why I'm asking is not everyone have a lot of time to do something specific for their health, maybe because of the schedule, etc. But habits will help them a lot, although they are very micro, small changes in their life, but they'll have a larger impact in their lifespan, right? So, what are some top 5 smaller good habits that anyone can develop to improve their health?
I think number one, I would say, is getting sunlight. Get sunlight morning and evening. Get sunlight.
Perfect.
That early morning sunlight, late evening sunlight. It's perfect. I would say that's number one on my list. Second is take up some kind. Just do a little few minutes of movement every. Let's say you wake up, you have make a ritual. Make a ritual to like just move around. Maybe go get out, go for a walk, come back. That's or even if you can't walk, fine. Just do some basic stretches. You just move your body. just to keep moving throughout the day. I think that's more key. Okay. Journaling, breath work, meditation. I would put all of these under one category. It's just like a practice. Let's call it an awareness practice. Build an awareness practice. Learn to take some time in the day, maybe just before you sleep. Take some time, just reflect on your day, scribble something down, journal. Just think and just breathe. Take time to do that every day. Cut out processed foods. Even if you can't cut it out, at least reduce it as much as possible. And surround yourself with people who will push you to be better. I think that that's I think as important as everything else. I think having a group, a community of people where these behaviors are already part of the norm, right? And you want to change your behavior, environment plays a critical role. So you have to figure out how to either put yourself in environments where these habits and these healthy habits exist, or you environment design your environment for your habits. I think like Atomic Habits talks about this, right? Designing an
Yeah.
environment to make certain habits easier and more difficult, etc. Something on similar lines, except I'm talking about people. Find the right people to surround yourself with, who are positive, who have who already have some of these habits down. You'll feel that drive to, "Hey, I wanna do what he's doing, right? Like I want to kind of emulate this person or these people, let's say, right, who are already engaged in this. If you go to a
Correct.
park, you see so many people just getting out in the morning and moving around. Like, it's amazing. Old people, like 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years. Find people who can like motivate you to get into these things. Energy obviously comes from people, or it can just be alone in nature. That's also not. Spend time in nature. I think that can it'll give you more benefits than any thousands of rupees you pay for any kind of gym. That's it.
Perfect. I think thanks a lot. So we are concluding the podcast. You answered all the questions in a very detailed way. Do you want to say anything to the audience before we close the podcast?
I hope whatever I said, you find it helpful and you can actually implement it. Please do something. Take whatever, any one thing, and start to implement it. Take action, experiment with yourself. Be your own scientist. Apply as much as you can, learn, and have an attitude to just keep progressing every day. I think that's what I would like to share. If you guys want to get in touch with me on Instagram, it's at Adarsh keeps moving. Any kind of training you want, any kind of coaching guidance, etc., I will be happy to do that for you. And that's about it.
Thanks a lot, Adarsh. Thank you, everyone.
Sure. Thanks, Manoj. Thanks a lot.